Find out what's making you sick and how to heal. Anthony William is the medical medium.
Hello, I'm Anthony William, and you're listening to the Medical Medium Radio Show, where each week I talk about the most advanced healing information and secrets about health, much of which is not found anywhere else and is decades ahead of what's out there now. And I mean that. The information we talk about on the show, the information that Spirit and I have been delivering for years, and the information that we have and we're writing about right now, so that you get this information, is unfiltered, it's unskewed, it's untampered with, it's unchanged, and it's unaltered. What does that mean? You know how food works? You guys know, because you guys are like becoming like experts, like beyond experts. You know how food works, where, hey, you grow your own food, or say food came from a farmer's market, or say, whatever, say even conventional farming, food grew. And at that state, it's that whole food, right, you guys? It's like a whole food. It's not processed. It's not tampered with. It's not unaltered. It's not unchanged. It's not unfiltered, or it's not filtered. Sorry about that. And it's just in that whole source, that whole food source, So when you have a carrot, when you have a sweet potato, that's a sweet potato. That's what it is. And even if you make a recipe still, it's the whole foods. It's that lettuce leaf, it's that kale leaf, it's that mango, it's that kiwi, right? Hey, I'm talking about fruit a little bit. Hey, remember, those are bad words. Fruit, all those names of fruits are bad words now today. I'm seeing it more and more out there. It's unbelievable. And so with all these whole foods, Nothing's tampered with when they're like that. They're whole. And that's the information here. That's the information on the Medical Medium Show. Right there. Hasn't gone through processing. Hasn't been turned into a potato chip. Hasn't been turned into a cookie. Hasn't been turned into a donut. Whatever it is. Hasn't been turned into a blueberry muffin with fake blueberries in there. Hasn't been processed and altered. And the information here is 10, 20 years ahead of what's out there now, and I mean that. And life is precious, and there's no time to spare, because you don't have 10 years to wait for answers, unless you do, unless you think you got 10 more years, 15 more years, meaning just to wait around for answers. I mean, I don't have that. There's no way. I need the Spirit information now. You guys need it now. And what I'm seeing out there right now, which is really disheartening, I got to tell you, I would have thought by now, 2016, I would have thought by now at 2016, where we are today, we still weren't going to be recycling nonsense, information that's been around for 30 years, 20 years, the same information, but recycling back into brand new literature and selling it with a bow on it. I never thought that would happen. It just makes no sense. And it tells me something. It tells me why we're still backwards, and why we're still not healing, and why we're still where we are today without getting the answers. And it just tells me. And when I'm like, okay, you know what? Okay, now I know. Here it is, 2016. So listen, we're here, we're tuned in because we need that information. We need to move forward. There's no question. Stick around for today's show, because you know why? Today's show is about rising out of the ashes. You heard me. I said it, rising out of the ashes. Okay? You know what that means, right? You know what that means. That means we go through stuff. We go through struggles. We go through trials. We go through hard times. Maybe we're not well. Maybe a loved one's not well. Maybe we lose a loved one. Maybe we lost something in our lives, whatever that may be. Maybe, we're trying to change. Maybe we're trying to make up for it. Maybe we're trying to move ahead, move forward. But sometimes we get stuck in the mud. And it's time to rise out of the ashes for real and move forward. And today we're talking about that. We're talking about all the different little things to help us rise out of the ashes, to help us boost forward, to move forward. Do you need that? Because, I can't get enough of that, because I want that. There's no question. I want to keep on moving forward. I want to be able to rise out of the ashes anytime, no matter what hits, no matter what comes. And I want to do that with you. We need to do it together. We need to go and rise out of the ashes together. I'm with you. Let's do it. We're going to talk all about that. And, in many times in our lives, we can rise out of the ashes at different times, in different ways, meaning in different types of rising out of the ashes. That's a whole nother thing, different types, I'm not just talking about being really ill and then rising out of that ash, because we're going to talk about that today, but I'm talking about when you need change in your life. You need change in your life, and you need a different direction or a new thought to really help you pick your speed up and move and just rise out of whatever is going on around in your life in that moment. So you get a fresh start, fresh perspective, you name it. It's all about that with rising out of the ashes. There's no question. So that's today. Check out the book, Life-Changing Foods, coming out really soon. Get a copy if you can, because this thing is packed. It is completely packed with information. What I mean that over 50 foods, and this is just a fraction of what's in there. I couldn't even talk about what's in there because there's so much. 50 foods in there, what they really do for you emotionally, what they do for you spiritually and emotionally, and how they help us in every way, diseases, conditions, symptoms, and information about the food that doesn't exist anywhere else but in that book from Spirit. So make sure you get a copy when you can. That book is life-changing. I'll tell you why. It's changed my life, just putting it together and writing it. One way is I had to, after writing that book, you had to sweep me up off the floor. I had to rise out of what's called aftermath of getting information like that from Spirit into that book. I was like, okay, I need some recharging time for a week. That's how powerful this book is and what's packed in there. I mean, literally, I would say a part of my soul sitting inside that book. So I want you guys to get that information and utilize it and move forward with it, because it's going to be great. Check out my events. The LA event coming up. It's coming up right around the corner. Make sure you try to, if you're around, if you're in the mood for getting a light blast to ignite the healing. And that light blast that I talk about, that started when I was a child, because what happened was back a long time ago, there wasn't a lot of options for people to heal. What I mean by that is the grocery store had nothing in it. I'm going to be honest. The grocery store had nothing in it. And I'm sure, there's people that are listening. You guys are listening, people out there that remember that you go around to your corner supermarket and there was iceberg lettuce. Okay, and if you're lucky, some broccoli. So I'm not going to be completely saying there's nothing in there, but there was some broccoli. Okay, there was some iceberg lettuce, at least in my store. That's what we had. And we had some apples and some oranges. Okay, those were there. And we had some bananas. So I'm not saying there wasn't some food. But it was really bleak. There wasn't cilantro. There wasn't, burdock root. Okay, there wasn't aloe. There wasn't, it's not even just that. There weren't even radishes, not in my neck of the woods back a long, long time ago. There weren't the foods for healing. And guess what? The supplements, there weren't supplements. They barely existed at best. They were really gruesome. I mean, it was really gruesome. It was the dark ages back then. So options for people to heal weren't that easy for people. I remember when I was about 13 years old, and I was talking to a client on the phone. Yes, a client on the phone at age 13 and in another state. And it was so bleak. Yeah, they had potatoes and they had iceberg lettuce. That's the two things they had. And, for medicinal foods is what I'm saying. And I remember saying to Spirit, is there something else I can do? Is there something else we can do? Because they were in Idaho, they can't get anything but those two things and no supplementation. Really, when it was in the dead of winter, there was no foraging for wild food, because that's the first thing Spirit would have said, is we're going to look for wild food for them. That's what we're going to do. So there were a couple of teas. I remember that. So I said to Spirit, what can we get? And I asked the people, can you find this tea? Do you know who could have this tea? And they had to go and just basically ransack an entire town for a little bit of an herbal tea. That's how bad it was. So I said to Spirit, what do I do? What do I do? We're not there yet. And Spirit said to me, in the future, we're going to be packed with different foods in the grocery stores, including even wild foods in the grocery stores to help us. And I said, well, you know what? I know that, but that's decades from now. Decades from now, and Spirit said there's going to be supplements in the future too. Lots of different supplements from geniuses in alternative health. I'm not talking about the cookie cutter crap, the conventional nutritional supplement that's just garbage that I see on TV every day, and I look at it. Whenever I get a chance and I watch TV for a couple of minutes, or I see a commercial somewhere when I'm over a family member's house and they got the TV on all the time, because that's usually when I'll see it, is going over a family member's house. And when I look and I see a commercial come on and it's for a junk fish oil, like something that's just not even a good fish oil, and you guys know how I stand about fish oil where it's not really good, or I see some kind of conventional supplement, and I'm not talking about even those. I'm talking about right now in this day, we have all kinds of ingenious supplements coming from incredible places. I recommend them on my site all the time. I don't sell them on there, but if you go to medicalmeeting.com, you'll see I have the supplement registry. It's a supplement kind of directory of the best stuff from genius people out there. And that didn't exist back then. That did not exist. And I said to Spirit, what do we do? And Spirit says, let's do the light blast. And I said, okay, I like the light blast. And Spirit showed me the light blast, even a couple of years before then when I was even younger. And Spirit had to remind me, let's do the light blast again. Okay, I'm ready. And then I would help and get that light blast to the person. Spirit would send light from above down, hitting the crown of the person, rushing through their body and igniting their healing process. And that's what we do at the events. And that, I don't care what it takes. And I said this before in some of the other shows. I don't care after that light blast that I'm like a jellyfish on the ground. Okay, that I've been literally neutralized, and I'm on the ground like a pool of sweat. I make sure everybody gets that blast of light, and then I recharge later. It's fine. I don't want you guys scared by it, but I make sure that light blast runs through everybody and starts to ignite the healing process. Start removing some old injuries, some old wounds. We have hundreds and hundreds of people that have had benefits coming out of that, and I'm still willing to do it while I'm here, while I'm alive and breathing. I'm still willing to do it, and that's just the bottom line. And I'm gonna keep on trying to do it. So that's at the event. We do the light blast. Also, we talk about things that we don't talk about anywhere, not even here on the radio show. And we do the live readings right on stage. So right there, Spirit's with me by my side, never lets me down, and tells me what's going on with someone. So check that out. So if this is your first time here, we're gonna get into it today. We're gonna get into the show. If this is your first time here today, it all started for me at age 4, and I heard Spirit, a voice perfectly clear in my right ear, without anything in the way, just right there from the outside, just hearing Spirit. I went to my window and looked out there thinking there was a radio playing, and there was nothing going on. There was nobody out there. I went downstairs and saw my family and tried to shake it off, and it would not shake off. That evening, sitting at the dinner table, Spirit appeared for the first of 2 times Spirit has ever shown itself to me. So I hear Spirit all the time in my ear, but this is the first of 2 times that I've ever seen Spirit, ever, standing behind my grandmother, standing there. And I was sitting in my chair at the dinner table, and Spirit said to me and waved me over and said, come over. And I got out of my chair, and I walked over to my grandmother, and he said, pronounce Grandma has lung cancer. And I did after a couple of times to get the words out just right. And later on we found out she did, because we had to take her in because a 4-year-old just said, Grandma has lung cancer. And so it all started there. And I've dedicated my life helping people, helping tens of thousands of people get answers. And that's what this show is about, you guys. It's about getting the answers so that we can move forward and heal. And that's what it's about. So let's talk about rising out of the ashes. What does that mean? What does that mean? Well, you know about the whole Phoenix thing, of course. You got the whole Phoenix thing, and that's a whole part of it. But we're not talking about that part of it. We're talking about the part of it, about, literally when just everything burns down on us. That's what it feels like. And I'm not talking about Mercury retrograde stuff where things get a little hard. I'm talking about when we're struggling, we're trying to push through, we're dealing with problems, we're dealing with sickness, we're dealing with illness. We got all kinds of different things going on in our life. And we have to get through it somehow. Spirit said to me, all storms pass, okay? All storms pass, and it is sunny on the other side. Nothing stays the same, and all things change. One thing that people have told me over the years is they've been sick so long, or not feeling good so long, or they've been having a long string of bad luck. And they say to me, it's not going to change. It can't change. It's been going on too long. And that's what they say to me. And it breaks my heart to hear that come out of somebody's mouth. And I respect it, I honor it. But one thing that's, like I said, Spirit has told me, is nothing stays the same and all things change no matter what. So nothing stays the same. So if you've been sick for a long time, it's not going to stay that way. It's going to change. You have to know that. This is so important. Because if you're in a storm, and that storm's a long time, and you've been experiencing that storm for a long time and not well, and you're unwell, and you've been sick and not feeling good, and you've been experiencing that storm for a long time, it's not going to stay the same. It's not. It's going to change, and the blue sky's going to come, and the sun is going to come out. So you need to know that. Whether it's small, whether it's big, whether it's something small where you just have some symptoms you're dealing with, okay, and the symptoms are doing weird things, and you're not sure what they are because you've been to every doctor and you've been searching and you don't have answers, but you have answers, but they're really not real answers, but you're looking for more answers. And it's not so bad because you look fine on the outside, or maybe it's bad and you still look fine on the outside. By the way, did you guys ever have any of that? Did you ever have that happen where, you're going through a whole bunch. You're going through a whole bunch of stuff. You're going through a whole bunch of symptoms. You're going through a whole bunch of conditions. And people on the outside, they think you look fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Sally, there's nothing wrong with you. Susan, there's nothing wrong with you. Jennifer, there's nothing wrong with you. You look fine. You're pushing through. You look fine. No matter how many doctors you went to and you said, hey, I'm not feeling good, people around you, they're like, you look good. You look good. And that's really hard right there. And then people are kind of tired of hearing about it too. Did you ever run into that? I hear about that all the time. Then people are, they're tired. They don't want to hear it anymore. They don't want to hear, oh, that's right. Yeah, you're sick. Well, you look okay. Oh, but that's right. You're tired. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Or I know I heard it a million times. And so we have to hold on to these things when we shouldn't have to hold on to them, but we have to be quiet about them sometimes. You've ever run into that? Because I talk to people and I've seen it happen, and I've seen people go through that, and it's really hard. But if you're not feeling well and you've been through something and you're going through something like that, it can change. It can change. There's no question about it. It can change, and you can move forward. So all storms pass, Spirit told me. Nothing stays the same, and all things change. You got to remember that. Because when you know that, it helps make it happen. It helps make it happen faster and sooner, and it helps build up the spirit. It helps build up your spirit. Okay, so that's something I wanted to tell you. So rising out of the ashes. If anyone who's ever been sick or has been sick too long, they could get to a point of saying something. And I was kind of talking about this a little bit. They get to the point where they're like, can I heal? That's what they say. Is it possible to heal? Is it ever going to happen? Can I heal? Because when you've been sick too long and you're going through it too long, you lose even the feeling that you can heal. You lose it. I've seen people lose it after 6 months. So they get sick with something. They're going to the doctor, medical clinics, here across the country, famous medical clinics, the whole bit, which are just starting to get just, a little bit of new information on health, a little bit, but they're not there yet. So you go to all the fancy medical clinics that still think the body's attacking itself. They still think autoimmune is the body attacking itself. So if this is your first show and you haven't, read any of the books or anything else like that or looked into our information, the body doesn't attack itself, and autoimmune is a great mistake. And we talk about it more and more, so you're going to have to tune into some of that. So, when we're going around and we're looking for help, and even after 6 months, we can get to the point where I can't heal. I just can't. Or can I? Is it even possible anymore? And all the doubts file in. And then there's some people that are like, okay, no, and they got a little bit of levity in this, and they fight. They got a little bit more fight. And they go for another year of looking around, and they're still not feeling well, and they go for 2 years. Then they get their Lyme disease diagnosis, and then they don't get their Lyme disease diagnosis, and then nothing seems right, and they never got bit by a tick or whatever it is, and then, or they get their MS diagnosis, or they get no diagnosis, and they're still tired, or they get told it's all in their head, and they're creating it. Whatever it is, it can last, and it can go on a little bit. And eventually we get hit with, I don't even know if I could heal anymore. And that happens to so many people. And I'm sure you guys probably even know a little bit about that. I'm sure it's happened to you. Somebody, I know it's happened to somebody because I hear it all the time. And right? Have you heard it too? Have you seen it in any loved ones or any friends? Have you heard that way too? There's no question. Here's the thing. There's one thing that's important to know, that if you were feeling good at one time in your life, this is for anybody who's sick, this is for anybody who's not feeling good, this is for anybody who's struggling with hardships, even if it's not sickness or disease or illness or symptoms. If you were in a better place before in your life, whether it be at the beginning of your life, whether it be in the earlier part or in a different part of your life, and you were feeling good and you were well, okay, and you felt great before you got sick, you got to go back to that in your mind. You got to go back to that in your memory. Or if it was before you had all these trials and these hardships and struggles that are not even sickness in your own life, but there's something else in your family's life or something else around you or whatever it might be, whatever kind of struggle. If you weren't in that position at one time in your life, you got to go back to that. And you got to be thinking, this is where present moment does not help us whatsoever. This is where present moment, the whole present moment concept is shattered, being in the present moment. Because one thing Spirit told me, that if you're in the present moment when you're really sick, then you're just going to be in your present moment of being so sick. And if you're in the present moment of your hardship, you're going to be in the present moment of your hardship. This is where looking into the future and looking to the past can save your life. And present moment doesn't. Now, I believe in living in the present moment. I do. I'm not anti-present moment believing. That's not it at all. It's just that present moment, the whole concept of present moment, the whole entire movement of the present moment and the spiritual movement of it is for people that aren't sick. That's for people that are healthy and fine and got a lot of good things in their life, and they're just not being in the present moment during it all. And so that's what that's for. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. But when you got struggles like I've seen, like I even, hey, I've seen it in all kinds of ways. I've seen it in family. I've seen it out there. I've seen it in friends. I've seen it, all kinds of struggles. If you got all kinds of struggles and you're sick and you're going through hell and back, yeah, I said it, hell and back, you're going through all this, present moment doesn't cut it. I'm going to be straightforward. It doesn't cut it. All it does is put you right. Okay, I'm sick. I know it. Being in the present moment. How do I enjoy this moment when I'm suffering? How do I enjoy this present moment when I see someone suffering like they do? How do I enjoy this present moment when I'm going through hell and back with some kind of trial that may not even be a sickness? And what matters then when you're in that position is you have to go in the past. If you have to live in the past, you live in the past for a little bit. And that means if you were feeling good and you weren't in a struggle or you weren't in a trial and you weren't in a battle and that was in the past and you had freedom for that moment, like really good freedom, that you feel like you might have lost of being sick, you got to go back there in your mind. You got to get that sensation. You got to touch it. You got to feel it because you own that sensation. It's yours. And you can't let the present moment concept take that away from you. And then when you're better and you recover and you get past it all, you can be in the present moment. Meaning you can utilize the present moment of what it has to offer. But right now you need to use what the past has to offer. That is critical. I've seen it save lives. Because when you're sick for 10 years, like you guys know, you're feeling, not good. You've been through so much. And you knew there was a time when you were at your best, feeling at your best, not sick, and you were healthy. You got to grab onto that. You got to grab onto that. You got to go back there and say, I was healthy. That means I still am somewhere inside of me healthy. You get where I'm going with this now? You got to tap into the past to realize health still resides in you somewhere. You're not entirely sick. Okay? That you can get better. It is real inside of you, what you have in you, because you were feeling good. You had it going on. You were feeling great. You're living your life. You were doing this, or you were going through school, or you were working, or whatever it is. And maybe you didn't feel the 100% grip, but you felt good enough to function, whatever it is. And that was in your past. Better grab onto that. Because that tells you got health inside of you now. In the present, you got health inside of you now in the present that that you got to tap into. And also it brings you back when you go back to the past of that. When you go back to the past of that, you're capturing that. You're basically planting seeds instantly by pulling from what you had in the past. A garden you grew a long time ago. Forget the present moment garden. Forget that one right now. You want to go to the past and you want to pluck things out of that garden. You want to pull fruits and vegetables out of that garden from the past. That's going to ignite something inside of your soul. And start rebuilding your soul and your spirit. Start strengthening your spirit. Strengthening your spirit is what it does. Strengthens your spirit in the moment, in the present moment. It strengthens your spirit. You got to go to the past. And here's the other thing. You got to go to the future. You got to go to the future. You have to know you're going to get better. Remember what I said? All storms pass. So what's in the future, you guys? What's in the future? Right? You're thinking about it, right? I'm with you. What's in the future? Blue sky, sun, okay? You feeling good. You over the storm. You are healed. You are better. You got your life back. You feel great. You're functioning the way you always knew you could and had and will and would. All of that is there in the future. So we got to forget the present moment when we go through trials and we go through hardships and we go through struggles. We got to dump it. Just push that aside. Just it's about the future and it is about the past. You strengthen your spirit and you build up your soul from gardens you planted in your past. Those fruits and vegetables, those herbs you planted, those flowers you planted in the past. And that reminds me, I had one client say to me a long time ago, they said, you know what? Thank God you told me this. I said, why? And she said, because I planted a lot of flowers. A lot of flowers in the past. When I used to feel good and I could get in my garden and I could dig and I could plant bulbs and different flowers and annuals and perennials and all this kind of thing. And I remember doing that and getting in the dirt. And I love my flower garden. I would put, all the different mulch down around my flowers. And then I would go out there with the hose and I would water it with the hose. And she said, Anthony, I've been sitting here trying to meditate in the present moment, sick as a dog, knowing I'm suffering. And you just brought back something that I had in my life that I've been latching on to now, and I'm nurturing now in the past and bringing back, and I'm healing. And I'm healing. And I said, yeah, well, you're going to think about your future too. And she goes, but the future isn't the present moment. We're not allowed to be in the future, right? I said, no. Don't worry. There's things in the present moment that you have that are good that we can hold on to. It's not all anti-present moment. That's not it at all. There are things that we have that are in our present moment, good things. When a friend helps us and we are, moving forward, taking our supplement or eating the food we need. There are things in the present moment I'm going to talk about in a minute. I'm just trying to make sure you guys know the point I'm trying to get across. And it's so serious to healing. It means everything to rising out of the ashes. And you got to think about the future, I told her. And she goes, well, I don't really like thinking about the future too much. I said, well, what are you afraid of? And she goes, I'm afraid I'm not going to heal because I've been sick so long. I said, no. You got to think about the future. You got to know you're going to heal and you're going to get better. Because remember what I said, that Spirit told me one of the most powerful things ever, and it seems simplistic and it's not a lot of words, but I'm going to tell you what it is again, is all storms pass. And nothing stays the same, and all things change. And that right there is a rising out of the ashes phrase, quote from Spirit, which reminds me, somebody said to me, well, you got a lot of quotes. I said, I don't have any quotes. They're all from Spirit. They're all from Spirit. I'm not smart enough to come out with a quote. They're all from Spirit. Okay, because I get all my words from Spirit. Sure, exactly. I'm not the smartest guy then, because I never went to school, so I'm not the smartest guy. It all comes from Spirit. Every last bit of it I got to use from Spirit. Spirit's the smart one. Spirit's the one that knows everything. And I told you that story a long time ago, you guys. I told you that I had, this ego built up inside of me when I was in my late teens and early 20s, because I felt invincible, because every single thing that came from Spirit was always right. And I remember helping out a neighbor, okay, and I was in the garden. I was pulling out onions in the garden. You guys know the story. I know. I can't help but to tell you. I was pulling onions out of the garden. My neighbor came over, and he was standing there in the garden, and he said to me, I don't know how you do it. I said, what? He said, I don't know how you knew what was wrong with my wife. She couldn't walk for years. She was in a wheelchair. And you knew what was wrong and how to fix it. And we went to every doctor and every clinic and to every place possible. We even went overseas. We went to Germany. We went everywhere. And it couldn't be fixed. And she was worsening. And he said, and I was positive she was going to die. I lost all hope. And he said, you knew what was wrong. You knew she had arsenic poisoning. How did you know she had arsenic poisoning? It wasn't even testable. But you knew, and you knew how to get it out of her brain. I said, and I looked up as I was holding the onions, and I said, that's because I'm never wrong. Never forget that. I'm always right. I'm going to be right. I'm never going to be wrong. You never forget it. Everybody else in the world never forget it. I'm right. I'm always going to be right. You better believe it. You better know it. It's the way it's going to be, and I'm never going to be wrong. I stood up because I was feeling invincible, because Spirit, since age 4, just, built me up pretty good. I was getting pretty pumped up. And I got up and I walked over. I took a few steps and I stepped on a rake, kind of like a hoe that was in the garden. Stepped on it. It came back at my face, knocked me out. I was unconscious. When I mean unconscious, I was completely gone. And as I was laying there on the ground and I came out of it, I saw my neighbor standing up looking over me. And then, at the same time, Spirit said to me, you remember this, Anthony, I'm the one that's right. You're wrong. I'm the one that's right, and never forget it. And so what I mean by that It's when Spirit's saying, all storms pass, nothing stays the same, and all things change. It's true. And so I was telling this client, I said, you got to think about the future. What is it? Let's get the dream going. We're not going to kill the dream. We're going to bring it to life. I want to know where you see yourself in the future. I want to know. And she says, you know what? I see myself doing my flowers again. I see myself in the garden and feeling good. And my knees aren't swollen. And I see myself feeling better. I said, I do too. I see it too. And I said, you're going to take what you have in the past that's yours. It's yours. And you're going to bring it in your mind now and bring it into your soul now, and you're going to recover. While you're doing your herbs and your things that you need to do for your health, and you're doing the things Spirit recommended, and you're doing the foods, and you're doing all this great stuff that Spirit recommends, while you're doing all of that, in the present moment, that part's in the present moment, you're going to be thinking about the past, and you're going to be thinking about the future, and you're going to be healing. And she got better. And she's on the other side of that now in her life. She's on the other side of the storm. And let me tell you, anybody who looked at her at that time was like, no, there's no way. No, she's disabled. There's no way. She's disabled. She's not going anywhere. That's what the doctors would say. That's what the doctors would say. That's what the medical authorities also would say. She's not going anywhere. That's it. But no, she's better. So it's important to know, when you're recovering and you get the first sensations of healing, you got to hold on to those too. Because it's a roller coaster ride for a lot of people who've been sick for a long time, you guys. It's a roller coaster ride for a lot of people who have been sick. So if you guys have been sick or anything like that, or anything going on in your life, forget the sick thing too. I mean, I'm sure some of you out there are like, well, I'm not sick. I'm just going through hell and... hell and everything plus, and I got all this stress, and I got everything, and it hasn't changed, and it's not changing. And, well then, you need to know. You need to know when something starts feeling better, then no matter what it is, you got to hold on to that, even if it's for a moment. And that's another thing I would tell people. And I'm telling you guys now. So you start recovering, and you're doing your celery juice that Spirit brought to us, because celery juice didn't exist prior to this. And you bring your celery juice, okay? And you start drinking it, you start getting a little bit better, and you haven't gotten a little bit better yet with all the things you're doing. You better hold on to it. Build up that spirit. Hold on to it. Take it and use it for strength. So even if it takes a little time, some people have had Epstein-Barr for a long time. I finally brought Epstein-Barr information to light for the first time in the world, matching up the symptoms to the illness, meaning symptoms to Epstein-Barr, what symptoms cause. And I see, what's really amazing is I see people actually talking about it now, and they're saying, hey, look, I heard this from Anthony William, and they're I see just good people doing that, and which is great, because then it could lead people to getting more information also that maybe someone might have forgotten or not, written down exactly, so we can all help together. It's like we're all working together as a team. But then a doctor friend just let me know that there's a couple of people that, are taking the information, kind of altering it, not saying where it came from, making it look like it's theirs. And the problem is with that is it loses its authenticity, because it's not, the source of where it came from is not being mentioned. And that can lead people into a direction that ends up just endlessly swimming around once again back into the circle of sickness. And when I see that, it's so disheartening. It's not even funny. So we got to all stay together. We all got to stay strong together. And we got to stay in this together. And all heal together, using Spirit's information, using the information that comes through. So what I'm telling you now, if you get those sensations of healing and you had your celery juice and it's helping, and you're doing some of the things that we all talk about here on the show and on all the other shows, and you're healing. Remember, 3 steps up, 2 steps back. 3 steps up, 2 steps back. Remember that. 3 steps up, 2 steps back. That's how healing works. And sometimes it takes a little longer for some people. They've had a viral infection for 20 years. It might take extra months to get some results, and then they get the results. And you hold on to that. You hold on to those results. What I mean by holding on to them, you remember you have them. Because that right there is a key. It's a key to healing and rising out of the ashes. You hold on to that, and more of it's going to come. And more of it's going to come. Even if you went two steps back, then you're going to have 3 steps forward, and more of it's going to come. Neurological problems, there's a lot of neurological symptoms. Brain fog, memory loss, those are neurological. Depression, that's neurological. Anxiety, that's neurological. Aches and pains, that's neurological. Okay? All right? Migraines, that's neurological. Tingles and numbness, that's neurological. Ringing in the ears, that's neurological. Vertigo, neurological. And it keeps then going. Balance issues, neurological. Plantar fasciitis, neurological. All of it is. And they take a little time to heal. All of those, by the way, are Epstein-Barr caused. And they take a little time to heal. So you got to grab onto that healing. When it happens, you grab onto it and you move forward. I don't care what disease or illness or diagnosis you had or whatever it is. You got to grab onto the healing and we move forward together. It's one of the keys. Now, say you're one of those people that was sick all along and don't have a past you can pull from. And we hold on to the future. It's okay if you don't have that past and you never felt good one day. You never had a good day. It's okay. It's all right. That don't matter. You hold on to the future and we do what we need to do to rise out of the ashes. Because I got to tell you something, it doesn't mean that you're not healthy. Here's something to know that's so critical. So just buckle your seatbelts. This is so important to know. You need to know this. Okay? Just because you're sick, just because you're not feeling good, just because you got struggles, just because you're suffering, doesn't mean you're not healthy. Doesn't mean you're not healthy and that you don't have healthy organs and that you're not healthy inside. It doesn't mean you don't have health. So just so you know, it doesn't matter if you have the symptoms all the time, you have the anxiety, you have the depression, you hurt, you're fatigued, you got the chronic fatigue, you got all these different diagnoses, whatever it is, whether you got MS, you got Lyme disease, or whatever it is that you've been told or you're struggling or trying to recover from, it doesn't mean you're not healthy and there aren't healthy parts in you, like lots of healthy parts, like all healthy parts in you, like all your organs, all the different things going on. It doesn't mean they're not working for you. It doesn't mean they're not standing by your side, helping you heal. Your body's working for you. It's not letting you down. It's your best friend. It's your best friend. It is. When someone says, who's your best friend? You say, oh, my internal body. My internal body is my best friend, and it's helping me recover, and it's helping me rejuvenate, and it's helping me come back. That's what my best friend is. It's my internal body. That's my best friend. It's not letting me down. I trust it. Sure, I got this neurological symptoms now, and I got this that I got sick years ago or whatever it is. But you got to trust your body. It's working for you. And it's helping you heal. And it stands behind you 100%. And just so you know, just in case you got chronic fatigue syndrome, just in case you got Hashimoto's thyroiditis, just in case, which we know the answers to, here. Okay, we know where the source and the answers are for all that. When you got the Hashimoto's, whatever it is, just know it doesn't mean you're not healthy. It doesn't mean your pancreas isn't healthy. It doesn't even mean your thyroid's not even healthy. Your thyroid's still healthy in multitude of levels. It doesn't mean your liver's not healthy. It doesn't mean your intestinal tract's not healthy. If someone's got SIBO and they got that small intestinal growth of overgrowth of bacteria, which is still unexplainable by doctors, by the way, it's antibiotic resistant streptococcus is what that is. And that's from taking, antibiotics when you're a child and all kinds of different stuff. And later on, you get a little bacterial overgrowth. It's from not eating good. You end up eating eggs and dairy products, milk, cheese, and butter, and that's what that's from. And wheat, because wheat feeds streptococcus. So when you're doing that, it's growing in you. It doesn't mean your intestinal tract is not healthy. So you need to know that. So if you got digestive problems and you got digestive sicknesses or digestive issues, it doesn't mean that, hey, that it's not healthy, that your digestive system is not healthy, that your colon's not healthy. Absolutely, you've got to know that. All these things matter to rising out of the ashes. All of these things matter. I want to talk to you about my favorite food on the planet. Can you guess what that is? Can you guess what my favorite food is? You probably know, right? You got to know. Is it celery? No, even though that's one of my favorite foods on the planet. But it's not celery. So what do you guys think it is? You know what it is. It's blue. It's the wild blueberry. You guessed it right. It's the wild blueberry. I'm not talking about blueberries. Cultivated blueberries, they're weak. They offer health benefits. Don't get me wrong. They offer health benefits. If you have them, you eat them. You have them, you better eat those blueberries, those cultivated blueberries. But if you can get a hold of wild blueberries, that's what you want. I'll tell you why. Because, and I talk about this in Life-Changing Foods, in my Life-Changing Foods book, that you guys are going to be happy when you open it. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I don't. I'm giddy inside about it. I'm excited. I got a smile on my face because I know when you open that book, you're going to be like, all right, he did us right. The guy did us right. Because I got your back. All right? So here's the deal. The wild blueberry is the most powerful heavy metal detoxifying food there is. And we deal with heavy metals. Heavy metals work side by side with Epstein-Barr, along with shingles and along with other illnesses and viruses. Heavy metals work side by side, causing nothing but harm, wreaking havoc. And they sit in our brain, and they become like alloys. They sit there with copper and lead and aluminum in our brain. And guess what removes them out? Removes that alloy out of our brain so we can free up our brain and heal. It's the wild blueberry. This is the food you want in your life when you've been through the unthinkable and need the support to rise up again. This is the rising out of the ashes food of all time, I promise you, is the frozen wild blueberry. It's for anyone who needs a physical boost or even someone who's they feel good and they're athletic. Wild blueberries in their system can mean the difference between life or death for a rock climber. I'm going to tell you right now. If a rock climber was going to miss his point by 2 millimeters, where his finger slips, and he doesn't have the rope latched yet or anything like that, and he's in this weird position where it's treacherous, and he's about to slip, if he had wild blueberries in him, or she had wild blueberries in him, could have meant the difference between slipping or not. That's the power of the wild blueberry. I'm serious. And it's literally a holy food. When I mean holy food, it's the resurrection food of all time. It's the Jesus Christ food of all time. It's that resurrection, which is the ultimate rising out of the ashes that ever existed. So it's that resurrection. So I'm telling you how it works with wild blueberry. Wild blueberries have information in them. Information that's tens of thousands of years old. 100,000 years old of survival, of literally existence and survival. When you eat those, that's what transforms into you. That's what meaning transpires. That's what actually moves into your body and enters into your heart and soul. And they're good for every illness possible. You think about it, every cancer possible, they're good for. Every single disease, they're good for. Every symptom, they're good for. They are the rising out of the ashes food of all time. And they help us. They're the best motivation speaker there is, the frozen wild blueberry, on the planet. It's the wild blueberry. If you're into motivative speakers, are you into motivation speakers and all that? Because there's a lot of them out there now. Are you into them and you go see them, or you buy their tapes or CDs or whatever it is now, and you do whatever, and you're downloading their talks and all that? Well, the wild blueberry is better than any motivational speaker there is on the planet. Is the wild blueberry. It's the motivational speaker inside the body. And if you've been through scorn, humiliation, rejection, here's what it does on an emotional level, you guys. On an emotional level, and I talk about this in the Life-Changing Foods book and more. Okay? If you've been rejected, felt like you have, humiliation has ever happened, devastation, being degraded, rejection, like I said, scorned, punishment, whatever it is, criticized or depreciated or discredited or mistreated or neglected, if any of that's ever happened in your life and it plays into you being even hurt along the way, this is the holy food. It helps us rise out of the ashes. It's the wild blueberry. And that's what it can do emotionally. Help pick you up from that and help clear that out of the body. And that's what we try to do, too, at the events, and Spirit sends that light down in everybody and hits the crown of their head and rushes through the body. We try to do that there, too, and it does lift people up, thank God. And then if you have your frozen wild blueberries in you, too, and you're getting the light blast, it's a whole other story, but still, the wild blueberries, and if you can't get the light blast, don't worry. You get the wild blueberries in there. You put them in you every day, and the spiritual lesson the wild blueberry offers. And this is what I have here also in the book, the Life-Changing Foods book, is a spiritual lesson. Wild blueberries understand what you've been through. They know what you've been through. There's an intelligence in the wild blueberry that connects to your internal body and your cells in your body that knows what you've been through. They know who you are. Wild blueberries, frozen wild blueberries, they know who you are as a person. They know the damage you've dealt with. And they know how to help you rise out again, rise out of the ashes, rise up. And they know. That's how. And so, listen, it's all about you getting better. And that's what it's about. And you're going to get better. And people already are getting better with Spirit's information, but you're going to get better too. You're going to get better too. And you're going to do some healing. And you're going to move through this. You're going to get through this because you remember what I said. And don't forget what I said, whatever you do. Don't forget it. And you know what it is now because I said it a few times. Remember this, that all storms pass. Nothing stays the same. And all things change. And what that means is you're going to be healing. You're going to get to the other side. You're going to get to the blue sky. You're going to get to the sun. You're going to get to the light. All that's going to be there. We're going to pull you out of the darkness no matter what's going on in your life or a friend or whatever it is, or what's happening or a loved one. We're going to help you move forward. And that is so important to know. That alone right there is so critical to know. Know that I stand by you. I'm by your side through all of this. Okay, and now, listen, if you're doing all the different things, get the celery juice in you. Don't forget. I don't want you guys to forget about that. Try to get some celery. If you can't handle a lot of it, try to do 1 ounce of it, 2 ounces of it. Mix it with something if you have to, but try to build yourself up so you get 16 ounces of celery juice by itself. By itself in a glass. 16 ounces once a day. You get that in you. Okay? Make sure you're getting a little bit of kale in you when you can. Make sure you're bringing a lot of spinach into your diet too. Lots of spinach. Make sure you're bringing in lots of different lettuces when you can. That's important. Don't forget that. Cucumbers. Make sure you got some cucumber juice going on too at different times. But make sure that celery juice is there as well. Don't forget about all of these things. All right, don't forget about all the things we talk about and everything, and try to get that B12 in you, the one I talk about. You know the B12 I'm talking about. You can find it also at my website as far as where to look for it. We don't sell it there, but you can at least get the name of it. Know that I stand behind you. I love you guys. Take one day at a time. We're going to rise out of the ashes together, okay? and we're going to keep on getting healthy. And for those who have risen out of the ashes already, I'm with you still, and we move forward together. We're all doing it. I love you. I believe in you. Stay healthy. Move forward. Let's heal together. Blessings. Love you. Take care.